The second way, and perhaps a better way, is to select what's known as a period certain payout on your annuity, a single period certain, which would mean that if it had a 25-year period certain and you only live 10 years, you can designate someone to receive the remaining 15 years of payments. There will be a reduction in your payout on this, but not as much as if you had made someone the joint annuitant who was significantly younger than you.
Are you ready for a successful retirement? We're addressing the topics facing today's retirees. Welcome to Retire with Ryan. Now here's your host, Ryan Morrissey.
Welcome back. This week we're going to be talking about pensions, and specifically, should you take the monthly annuity payment from your pension, or should you take a lump sum payment? If you're eligible for a pension, your pension may offer you a lump sum payment, and you might be wondering whether that's the best thing for you. This may always be an option in your pension plan. Some pension plans always offer retirees the option to take a lump sum payment or the annuity, whereas some companies, due to some changes in regulations, are now able to offer the lump sum payment where they previously were not able to do so. And so one of the first things you'd want to do is have the numbers to be able to make a comparison. So what a monthly or annual annuity means is that the pension company or your former employer will pay you a monthly amount for the rest of your life if you're single. If you're married and you choose a joint option, that means they'll keep paying as long as you or your spouse are alive. That same monthly payment will keep coming to you. So that's what an annuity payout is. The lump sum means that the company will give you a lump sum, and that is the only payment that they'll ever give to you. And once you receive that lump sum, it's up to you to choose what to do with it. You could roll that money over to an IRA, and you could take distributions out as you see fit. You could also take it all as a taxable payment and pay tax on it. So those are your two options if you have the lump sum. So to get these numbers, they could be provided to you if you're offered a pension buyout in the mail. Usually in that letter, it will give you the dollar amount for what you'd receive from a lump sum buyout, or it would show you the monthly annuity that you could receive. Or you could reach out to your HR department, or if your pension has an online portal where you can go in and get those numbers. So once you have those numbers, then you can make a quick comparison to figure out what the payout is on your pension. So to do that, you'd multiply the monthly amount that you could receive times 12, and you divide that by the lump sum. So just for easy numbers, let's just say that you could receive $10,000 a year on your pension, and you could also today collect a lump sum of $200,000. Those are your two choices. Get $10,000 a year for the rest of your life, or get a $200,000 payout today. So $10,000 divided by 200,000 is 5%. So that's what you're getting as a payout on your money. So if you were to take that lump sum and go and invest it, you'd have to at least earn 5% to be able to just match what you could receive from your annuity payout, your monthly amount that you could receive from the pension. So right from the start, you have to ask yourself, all right, how comfortable am I with investing? And do I feel confident that I could make more than a 5% annual return each year? So we'll come back to that in a minute. Another consideration that you would want to make on this is whether you're single or you're married and how that plays into the situation. Obviously, if you're single and you're just worried about yourself, it's a little bit of an easier decision as far as whether you should take the pension lump sum or not. When you're married, it becomes more complicated, because if you take the lump sum payment and you don't manage it properly and you pass away, you're going to leave your spouse potentially in a bad situation where they could have had this monthly income coming in, but now they don't because the money has been mismanaged, or maybe the income from what's remaining is going to be less. Whereas if you take the money as a lump sum and you don't manage it and you pass away, no one is really going to be hurt after you've passed on. Another thing is regarding your health. If you're in very poor health and you're single, and you have someone that you'd want to leave this money to, then it could make sense to think about taking the lump sum. Because with a lump sum payout, you have the money and now you have control of it. with an annuity, if you're single, the annuity payment ceases once you pass away. So if you take a single payout on your annuity because you're single and you only live 5 years and you pass away, well, you're not really going to leave anything behind to your heirs other than other assets that you have. This pension, there'd be no value going to your heirs.
If you're single, there are two ways that you could add someone to the beneficiary of your annuity. The first way is
to add an heir, either a child or a friend, as a co-annuitant with your pension, meaning that if your pension plan allows that, they would receive a remaining payment once you pass away. The problem with doing that is that it's going to, especially if you're going to add someone who's a lot younger than you on as a co-annuitant, the payout is going to be a lot less to you because now it's being insured on 2 lives and it's also being insured with a much younger person who has a longer life expectancy. So the insurance company has to pay you out less based on that life expectancy.
The second way, and perhaps a better way, is to select what's known as a period certain payout on your annuity, a single period certain, which would mean that if it had a 25-year period certain and you only live 10 years, you can designate someone to receive the remaining 15 years of payments. There will be a reduction in your payout on this, but not as much as if you had made someone the joint annuitant who was significantly younger than you.
When you add your spouse on as a co-annuitant to your pension, if their age is close to yours, there is a reduction in the payout that you could receive versus if you just took a single payout because it's insuring 2 lives. So if you are in a situation where you're single and you aren't in good health, then I would say the lump sum could make a lot of sense because that's a way you could get your money and be able to leave value of that pension behind to a child, a grandchild, a boyfriend or girlfriend. Now, when you're married, as I said before, if you are thinking of taking the annuity, you probably want to strongly think about taking the joint payout because that way it's going to insure both lives. And if you pass away, you're going to leave something behind to your spouse. So another reason why you might want to think about taking the lump sum is that if you have a lot of other assets or other income coming into you, and this pension isn't really necessary for your survival in retirement, then it could make sense for you to take the lump sum and get the money in hand. So for everyone else, that's really why you want to think about taking the annuity payout.
So let's talk about some of the reasons why taking the monthly payout or annuity payout could make sense to you.
So reason number 1, I mentioned before, how comfortable are you with managing money? So if you take the payout, the lump sum, you now need to take the money and you need to invest it. And if you're getting a 5% payout, let's say, for example, on your monthly payment, then you'd need to invest your money and make 5% just to keep up with what you could have gotten on a monthly basis without doing anything. So what are realistic assumptions about how you could invest that money? If we look back over past returns,
we can definitely find periods of time, and you want to really look at long-term returns, 10 years or longer, where a stock and bond portfolio has averaged an annual return of 5% or greater. But we can also find periods of time where a stock and bond portfolio has earned less than 5%. So you really have to weigh that carefully. So you're taking on a risk that you won't achieve whatever the return is necessary on your investments that would have equaled what you could have received without any risk. Because there's a minimal amount of risk by taking the monthly annuity payment. And when you do your calculation, you're finding that you're getting a 6 or 7% return. There is also as far as figuring out that calculation, I know I mentioned earlier how you could multiply what you could receive on a monthly basis times 12 and divide that by the lump sum to get a percentage payout. You also can use Excel. If you're familiar, I'll put something in the show notes where you could calculate what's known as your internal rate of return on the pension, and you can figure out what you would earn on the money. When you get the monthly payment, at first, you're going to have a negative return because it's going to take a while for you to catch up to what you could have received by getting the lump sum. But once you equal what you could receive from the lump sum, then your return is going up. So you can look at different points of time to see if you're comfortable with that.
Another thing you might be concerned about is that your former company is going to mismanage the money and your pension is going to be gone, or there could be a reduction in your pension. There's something called the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, which all private pensions have to pay into. And this, for the most part, prevents that type of mismanagement from happening. So unless your pension is a pretty large pension, the PBGC will insure your pension against any loss. So even if you worked for a company that went bankrupt, let's say, and it's no longer in existence, then the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation would step in, they take over the pension, and they would make those payments to you. The maximum that the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation is a monthly amount, and it's actually based on the age at which you collect your pension. And I'll put a link in the show notes to what those numbers are. And also it depends on whether your pension is a single payout or a joint payout. But for 2020, for example, if you're 65 years old and you take out a 100% single life pension, then the maximum monthly amount is $5,812.50. If you have a pension that on a monthly basis is larger what the PBGC will guarantee, then maybe you might want to think about taking a lump sum payout on your pension if that is offered. Should also point out that the PBGC numbers apply to single employer plans anytime you're part of what's called a multi-employer plan, or if you work in the public sector, then the PBGC guarantee does not apply. You might have heard that you can do better by taking the lump sum and buying your own annuity. So you may not be aware, but the word annuity is obviously used a lot. It can mean a tax-deferred annuity, but in this case, we're talking about annuity as an income stream. So you have the ability at any point to take a lump sum of money and go to an insurance company that offers these lifetime annuity income streams and to purchase one of these yourself. So you could give an insurance company $100,000 and they would then start giving you a monthly payment just like you could get from the pension. The problem is that the payouts on these annuities for a new one is based on current interest rates. And with interest rates being very low, you're not getting very much of a payout. So if you would compare what you could do by going and buying your own annuity versus keeping the annuity through your pension plan, there's going to be a much greater payout from the annuity on your pension plan, because of the fact that the pension plans have to use a certain calculation that the IRS provides where it's more favorable to the employee, whereas an annuity company doesn't have to abide by any of those regulations. They're just able to offer what is based on current interest rates in a competitive environment. Another reason not to take the lump sum payment is that it will prevent you from spending too much of the money. When you're receiving a monthly income stream, you're only able to spend what you have coming in. But now, if you have a lump sum available to you, you might start out with the intention of just spending the same amount that you would get from the monthly annuity. But all of a sudden, something comes up, you decide to go on a vacation, you maybe make an improvement to your house, and before you know it, you've spent a lot more than you planned on spending on an annual basis. I've seen this with some of my own clients, and you really, once you've done this, there's no going back, and now you've shortened the period of time that the money's going to last, and it's probably not going to last for a lifetime through any longer. So that's another reason why maybe you should think about not taking the lump sum to prevent yourself from spending it down too quickly. Another thing that you really have to be careful when you're making this decision, if that you're going to consult with anyone, that they don't have a vested interest in seeing you do the lump sum payout, meaning that they're going to sell you a certain product or they're going to take over the management of your lump sum and receive a fee by doing that. If you're looking to get professional help to help you determine whether or not taking the lump sum or the annuity is best for you, I suggest you seek out a fiduciary advisor, someone who's going to work with you on a fee-only basis, like myself, who'd work with you on an hourly basis to help figure out what's best for you, and then from there you can make the best decision for yourself. If you haven't subscribed to this podcast, then I suggest you do so. If you have an iPhone, you can use Apple Podcasts. If you don't have an iPhone, you can also use Spotify or Pandora or whatever your favorite podcast listening app is. And also, if you can provide us any feedback on the podcast, provide a rating, that would also be greatly appreciated. To learn more about the services that I provide or to listen to more podcasts, you can go to retirewithryan.com. Take care.
You should consult a financial advisor familiar with your specific circumstances before you make any financial decisions. Nothing in this broadcast constitutes a solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. Any mention of rates of return are historical or hypothetical in nature and are not a guarantee of future returns. Ryan Morrissey, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Morrissey Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.